Chioma Oru. I'm the Health Justice Project Director at Advocates for Justice and Education, also a mother, and I'll be your moderator this evening. I want to welcome the rest of the Health Justice team. I want to welcome Daniela Gonzalez Rios, our Health Justice Project Coordinator, Amilka Hudson, our parent organizer, who will also be supporting throughout today's event. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge and thank our Spanish interpreters, Javier and Gabby from Latin Matters, for providing language access support. We're very grateful for your partnership and the important role that you play in making this space more accessible. And I hope that in the aftermath, we're also able to use the transcripts from the translations to share with our Spanish-speaking families that are not present. I'm going to pause for Javier to provide instructions. So go for it.
Hola, muy buenas noches, buenas tardes, bienvenidos a todos. Gracias por estar aquí. Hoy tenemos el servicio de interpretación de mi compañera Gaby y de un servidor Javier. Para tener acceso al servicio de interpretación, si nos acompaña desde una computadora, pueden ir al fondo de su pantalla y van a ver ahí un globo terráqueo. Van a darle un clic ahí, van a elegir el idioma en el cual quieren escuchar, en este caso el español. Y por último le van a dar un clic en la palabra done o finalizado, muy importante ahí. También pueden poner en silencio el audio original para que no se distraigan durante la presentación. Y si nos acompañan desde un celular, es muy similar el proceso, solamente que tienen que ir abajo de la pantalla, darle clic en los tres puntos, elegir language o el idioma, la interpretación. Ahí van a elegir el español de nuevo y van a darle también done o finalizado, muy importante hacer eso, y también pueden poner en silencio el audio original para que no se distraigan. Si tienen cualquier problema técnico, no se pueden conectar, por favor, indíquenos a través del chat y esperemos que disfruten de la reunión. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Javier. Tonight's conversation will explore how early action, strong partnerships, organized planning, and shared lived experiences can help families access the support they need, excuse me, while building stronger, more equitable future for all children. I like to review a few of our community agreements as we do before we start these sessions to help create a welcoming and in respectful space to level set us. And so please listen to understand, honor lived experiences, expertise, speak from your own experience. Be mindful of time so everyone has the opportunity to participate. But if we're going by trend, please participate. Please do ask your questions. Please do come off a mic and share your thoughts, assuming positive intent while remaining open to learning. Keep our conversations solution oriented and just respect privacy and confidentiality while noting that these sessions will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So that also means to be aware of what you share with consideration that this is going to be out in the ethers in this session. And maybe it's why you're kind of quiet, and I respect it in any case. But to review the agenda, I want to give a sense of what you can expect this evening. We'll begin with our welcome and announcements before moving into the interactive workshop sessions. First, we'll explore strategies for improving collaboration between healthcare providers, schools, families, to better support children with complex health and developmental needs. Next, we'll discuss the importance of caregiver well-being and how strengthening support systems can help families thrive. And our final workshop will focus on the importance of early identification and timely evaluations, highlighting how early action can improve long-term outcomes for children. We'll conclude by sharing opportunities to continue your advocacy and close out for the evening. So before we dive deeper into the workshops tonight, I'd like to acknowledge any members of the DC Council, which we have invited, and some of, I don't think any have showed up, but we do hope that they catch it on the record. And we thank any of our community health advisory panel members that may be here or maybe tuning in, and any of our partner organizations, including Mary Center, Bria, any of the partners in the Keep DC Healthy Coalition, and on and on. And community leaders that may not already be in relationship with us, but are here tonight. We thank you so much for taking the time to join us this evening. Additionally, we are currently collecting family stories through our My Child Find storytelling campaign to better understand DC families' experiences navigating early identification and special education services. We encourage you to consider sharing your journey, as these stories help to raise awareness, inform policy decisions, and they strengthen advocacy efforts. Um, if you can please drop that in the chat, Emil or Danny, please, so that folks can tell their stories. I appreciate that. And one of tonight's key resources is our live binder. If you also please drop that in the chat. And I could do that after I, stop talking, which contains practical advocacy tools, templates, resource guides, timelines, and materials referenced throughout the presentations. We encourage you to use the resources as you begin to strengthen your own family action planning. And we'll continue to add, a few more resources through the course of this week, and then hopefully translate them for the things that aren't already translated into Spanish. So we hope that you continue to use the live binder even beyond the health policy camp to strengthen your learning. And we'll, keep coming back to it even in our regular Tuesday resource meetings. But before we continue, I want to punt it to Danny to launch our first poll.
Thank you, Chioma. All right, everyone. So we have a couple polls for you tonight. The first poll, give me one second. What area do you feel most confident in navigating for your child or family right now? And you're able to select up to two answers. The first one is primary health care. The second one is specialty care, behavioral health, school system or IEP, Medicaid or insurance, care coordination, evaluations and assessments, community services, or transition to adulthood. And I know there's a couple, so try to pick the two that are most important to you right now. All right. I'll give it a couple more seconds for you to put your final answers.
Kids COPA annual conference. At AJE, Derek continues to advocate for her clients' rights for a free, appropriate public education under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act and local laws. She also helps parents and children navigate school disciplinary policies, procedures, and hearings. Now, joining Derek tonight is Chrysanthi Corniotis, a health policy and advocacy leader with more than 15 years of experience advancing healthcare policy and systems change across Medicare, Medicaid, and federal health programs. She brings a unique blend of policy expertise, leadership, and lived experience as a caregiver, shaping her commitment to more equitable, person-centered care systems. Throughout her career, Chrysanthi has advised federal agencies, health systems, and policymakers. She is a founder of Koinonia House, a community-based model addressing gaps in caregiver support, grief, and social isolation. Chrysanthi also serves as an advisory neighborhood commissioner in Washington, D.C., representing constituents and advancing solutions related to health, education, and community well-being. She holds a Juris Doctor in Health Law and Advocacy from the University of the District of Columbia, a Master of Science in International Health Management, Economics, and Policy from SDA Bocconi University, and a Bachelor's of Arts and Political Economy of Health from Mount Holyoke College. Please join me in welcoming Dara and Chrysanthi.
Thank you, Emil. Should we just get started?
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right. So When Danny invited me to lead this workshop, she said that she wanted us to focus on navigating care coordination for children with complex health or developmental needs. And before I go about how I advise parents and caregivers to go about that, I'm curious to hear from you all about what you think that means. Anyone can put it in the chat or go off mute and popcorn it. There are no wrong answers here, just ways we can build off of the knowledge we think is our foundation. No one's going to answer. I pop it to my actually law school classmate, Cece.
Well, I was about to chime in, so um, you're asking what it means, like how we interpret advocating for our children, or
Here,
what's the question?
let me put it in the chat too, because I might have been saying that too fast. What it means to you for navigating care coordination for children with complex health or developmental needs.
Well, for me, since as has been said, have very personal experience for this, and I'm sure many parents on our call this evening also share in the experience. Um, it's it seems like it's a daily, something that we have to focus on a daily basis. Like I know that sounds dramatic, but it really is important that um, regardless of whether or not your child has, both physical and neurodivergent challenges of sorts. In my case, my daughter has a genetic condition that's very rare. She came into my home through the foster care system after having heart surgery and on 6 different medications. And from that, those 6 different medications has caused her to have some kidney function issues. And then she's also on the spectrum and has ADHD. And so we collaborate, I would say, as a team with all of her subspecialists, including our advocates at AJE and and Dara being one of them. It's a full-time job. It really is to make sure that you're doing it right. Like it, and in certain cases, your professional aspirations may take a back seat in, during a certain time in your life, and if your child continues to thrive, I guess at the end of the day, that's worth it. But it takes sacrifice and just due diligence continuously from your parent, because the providers and the subspecialists and everyone involved, as I say, it's like a team effort, a family effort. um, you as a parent, I think your attention to detail is just on another level, and it's important to do that.
I think inadvertently you laid out a pre-outline for what I'll definitely be going over. It's definitely a full-time job. The advocates at AJE, including myself, like to say, as parents and caregivers, you are your child's first expert. You always have their best interests at heart, and learning what their needs are, the ins and outs, from the legal terminology to the medical terminology, is going to be very important for developing those relationships, sustaining those relationships, and even finding productive ways to push back when you think someone's not doing your child right. And before I proceed into depth, did I see anybody go off mute before? Nope. All right, then I'll jump right into it. So, figuring out who your team is, that's going to be very important. And it could be people you may not have expected. It could be your child's pediatrician. It could be an outside provider that you didn't expect to ever need, whether it's a therapist, different types of therapists too. There's ABA therapy if your child has autism. There's physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech language therapy. You might have a family therapist because you're trying to learn your kids' needs, especially as they develop through different tiers of their life from, being that cute little kid in elementary school to learning their new personality and wanting to push back on boundaries. It's going to help you raise them at home. It's also going to help you be a meaningful partner with the school team. So it's very important that you know who those team members are. Develop a good plan of communication with all of those team members within your individual relationships, but also connecting those people together. They're all stakeholders in the greater map of your child's life. And so you want to make sure person A knows person B, knows person Z, knows you, has all the proper updates, and that there isn't going to be any holes if possible. There are bound to be holes eventually. There are different systems. They often don't communicate with each other, but what's going to tie them all together essentially is you and your child. And so that goes into the importance of integrated care planning across all the different spectrums. So you might want to figure out, is there a core service agency out there that can help me? Which release forms do I need?
Yes, just fine.
Sorry, is there a question? Okay. What was I saying? Which documents am I going to need in advance? Which questions should I ask? Should I bring a checklist with me so that before I leave the doctor's office, I've obtained all those records? That's going to be very important in a number of different arenas in education advocacy. That could come into play for child find, which is the legal obligation for schools to identify, locate, and evaluate all children within the district, in our case, the District of Columbia, who might be suspected of having a disability. That could be anything from ADHD to a speech disability to being hard of hearing. If there is a reasonable suspicion and there's data to back up that suspicion, they have to execute the steps of child find. And a huge part of that is going to be providing your own parent input, which is part of meaningful participation, which is another right under the federal laws, especially the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. It also links heavily with the project Chioma mentioned earlier, the Child Find Project, about how your child's journey with special education or supports under a 504 plan under the Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, because there are different ways your kids can get support in school, through an individualized education program, through the IDEA, through a 504 plan, also through something called multi-tier system of supports, which is actually the default system of supports for every child in DC. You don't even have to go through an evaluation process for your kid to receive some level of support, whether it's extra academic assistance, one-on-one counseling, and it gets more and more individualized and more intensive depending on what your child's needs are, and depending on the meetings that you attend and the different documents in data. At the end of the day, your child is human. Your child is more than the data, but we live in a world and we live in systems that are going to rely on that data, that are going to rely on that paper trail. So making sure that your doctor gives you that doctor's note if your kid's going to be absent for a long period of time, if they're going to be absent for a short period of time, if you want them to support that your child is eligible for these services. You can tell teachers and administrators till you're blue in the face, yes, my child has that diagnosis. Unfortunately, they may not believe you until they see it. It's also really important to understand that there are differences between medical diagnoses and legal disability classifications. Your child, for example, may have ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder in the medical field, but they may not necessarily have it in the school setting. And if they don't meet the legal factors to be qualified as a student with ADHD, they may not get the services as you would anticipate them to receive them in that school environment. And that's why it's very helpful to have that outside provider come in to speak with the school staff, not only for eligibility, but for developing appropriate services in any education plan that your child might have. This might even come into play if there's like a safety plan if your kid was experiencing bullying, or helping them feel more comfortable because they're having high levels of anxiety, transitioning back into school after long absences due to medical reasons that have nothing to do with what was happening in school. It just helps in extraordinary different ways. It will also come into play when figuring out which environment should your child be educated in. In education law, that's known as the least restrictive environment, which means that your child has the right to be educated with their non-disabled peers to the greatest extent practicable. So as long as there are appropriate supplementary aids and services in place, like IEP goals, it could be graphic organizers, extra time, focusing on certain skills where they may have deficits. If they can stay in that setting, or also known commonly as an inclusion environment, great. Then they can stay there. But they might need pull-out services, or they might need push-in services with more teachers there to provide that individualized support. They might need a self-contained classroom. They might need extended periods of time at home. I will say home-based instruction is a higher level of restriction, so it might be harder to obtain. There's also something called home and hospital instruction, which is its own separate game to play altogether. But if your child is potentially qualified, please reach out to AJE. We can go into it with you with more depth because it requires a whole application process. You need a doctor to fill out a form. You need to fill out form, provide a whole variety of different documents. But it is a short-term way to have your child stay at home if they have a medical condition that tends to be temporary. Your child might need to be in the hospital for 3 months, in which case there is a right for them to also receive education in that environment. And I'm actually going to share my screen for the first time to show you what's called the continuum of alternative placements, which is a requirement for all states. DC is a state for education law purposes, about the different types of settings that your child may be educated in throughout their educational career. So we have most restrictive at the bottom and least restrictive on top. Can you all see? Because my wonderful menu bar is blocking me to an extent.
We can see it.
All right, awesome. So here you have the top full-time general education with supports and modifications within your local education agency, known as an LEA, and it goes as far down as instruction in the hospital. And what's often going to happen is your child's school team will come together, figure out what your child needs to access that inclusion setting so they can ultimately make meaningful progress in the general education curriculum so that they can stay there as needed, and they'll go up and down the tiers depending on what they do. It will rarely jump, but it's good to know what is available so that you can make a meaningful contribution to the conversation. Before I proceed, any questions about anything I've said so far, and especially the least restrictive environment spectrum of options? I can also repeat anything in case I spoke too fast. All right, I will stop sharing for the moment. Okay, so one of the biggest challenges I mentioned is that there can be loopholes in communication between the various stakeholders. The easiest way to do that is by filling out the release forms, like I mentioned before, inviting outside providers to meetings in as far advance as possible. I say schools will typically invite you to a meeting 30 to 60 days out, unless there's like an immediate disciplinary situation, in which case the data is also important. The child find, disciplinary, developing the IEP, revising the IEP, actually reviewing that evaluation data. They can also help you understand that data because it can be all sorts of medical and legal jargon, along with coming to advocates for justice and education or any other advocates in the community who can help you understand it. We offer a whole variety of know your rights resources to help you understand what does it mean to have, if my child is behind grade level by 2 years, by 1 year, they're getting A's, but they're still getting F's on their tests. It can fluctuate all over the place. And I see something in the chat. If a child believes their education is their education, to begin with, how do we keep that belief if the system justifies itself over the parent-student desires, and parents, though they are not a part of the team, as always treated as such? So I would say it depends on the age of the child. I like having students be a part of the education team conversations probably around age 10. If your kid is a little bit more vocal, you definitely can have them in earlier if you think they have the stamina and the patience to be a part of that discussion, because they absolutely should be a part of that discussion and begin learning what those rights mean and begin developing that independence and that autonomy and ask questions, even if it's just 5 minutes and giving their say. And at the end of the day, it's going to be about developing that record. What did you present to the team? What did you put them on notice about? What did they agree to? What did they not agree to? One thing I love parents doing in advance of these meetings, and honestly, any stakeholder involved, especially with the medical field too, is coming in with a parent agenda. You want a list of points that you want to bring out and highlight, a list of questions, a list of concerns, and you can check it off as you go down. Did they address that? Did they tell me why they would or would not do something? And then after those meetings, at least under the IDEA, they're required to give you what's called a prior written notice, or a PWN. even though the word prior is in it, you will get it after that IEP meeting or after that eligibility meeting. And they have to explain why they refused to do something or why they chose to do something. And you can use that down the road to either challenge it, whether it's through an indirect email capacity, asking for a new meeting, asking for an observation, because in DC you do have the right to observe your child in school, as long as you follow the school's policies, or if you have to pursue dispute resolution down the road. Because it's all about what can you prove. If it comes down to he said, she said, unfortunately, schools have lots of faith and trust societally. So your fact finder or hearing officer in education hearings might be more inclined to believe them because they're the professionals, they have the expertise. But we have to remember, you all as parents and caregivers also have that expertise. You might also be able to find your own expert and also bring that pile of emails, bring the pile of data from your medical provider. Say, we told them again and again, you have to listen to us. It's not just you versus them. It's supposed to be collaborative, and you have to lead them by the nose. And the way you lead them by that nose is by having that paper trail that you create and that you sustain, and essentially establishing a written culture of communication. I'm going to actually show you a blog that AJE has on there that I'm the very proud author of. It's called CYAK, Cover Your Awesome Kid, instead of the usual CYA expression that we all know and love, because the more they know you're going to be involved, hopefully the more likely they are to respond. It may not be the responses that you want, but at least you'll be in the know, and that they know that you know what you're talking about, that you're trying to be a meaningful part of that team, and that you're trying to learn, because it's all about your kid at the end of the day. There's lots of injustice out there. Sometimes there's gaslighting, but there are things that we can do as the advocates to try to get around that. And I hope that answered the thought
Police
process
officers
that,
trying to revive a man they say has.
oh, all right, that you were trying to convey in the chat. And I really appreciate that, because that's a sentiment that families I work with experience on a regular basis. It's not acceptable, but there are plenty of tools we have in our arsenal to help deal with that. Okay. Oh, since we're on paper trailing, let's go on to there, because that's probably one of the biggest ways you're going to improve collaboration is by establishing that paper trail for sure. And I'm going to go into the health policy camp. So one of the biggest ways you are going to do that, if
You have to click down on the red for the ones that you want to see.
Dara, I think you on mute.
oh my goodness, I've been talking this whole time. What's the last thing you all heard? Can anybody tell me?
We were
One
talking
of the
about
ways you're going to
paper
do that,
trails.
right?
All right, we're about to start paper trails.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, because that is one of the main ways we're going to improve collaboration with the schools and also hold them accountable. I tell that to families again and again, because at the end of the day, teachers and administrators and even the central offices are human. They're going to forget, or they're going to not remember conveniently. But whatever the reason is, what we can do is what we can control, which is establishing our record, our paper trail, and our points. So you'll see under 1, 2, and 3 are records actually for the State Education Agency, which in DC is the Office of the State Superintendent of Education, or OSSI. These 3 records are going to be primarily for transportation related issues. And that's important because if your kid's going to be sick, they may not use the bus. There is a policy for OSSI's transportation that if they miss the bus or whatever vehicle they have for too many days, that they can discontinue it. But if you put them on notice to the Parent Resource Center, they do record all those phone calls, by the way. So if you make a records request through OSSI, then they have to give you copies of those audio recordings. It's also important if your kid needs extra accommodations on the bus, like a dedicated nurse or a dedicated aide or a special adapted vehicle for a wheelchair, any array of really important information that the OSSI Division of Transportation does need. So this first one here is a checklist of common transportation documents that you can actually ask for. You're welcome to adapt any of these templates for your purposes. You can copy and paste it directly into the body of an email. You could put into Google Documents, or if you happen to have some sort of word processor, and type it in accordingly. And I see here there's also, a download feature, a print button, and a way to save it to your own Google Drive. This next one's also important because it is a letter that you can actually send to the person responsible for facilitating these records requests. And then this one is a required form that OSSI wants you to fill out. If you're going to be asking for transportation, you'll actually check off this other box here and put in transportation or anything else you think OSSI might have. Initially, you'll go to your child's school first or local education agency, but often, not often, sometimes OSSI has documents that your local education agency just won't have. So this is a great opportunity to give them a separate records request. It's also important to note that they will not let your attorney or advocate make this records request on your behalf. So you will have to fill this out yourself. In addition to filling out these forms, please give them a photo or a scanned copy of the front part of your ID to prove that it's you. It's something that OSSI has told me and parents I've worked with again and again. And then if we scroll down a little further, we have the LEA, General Cumulative Records Request. This is a great starting point even before you speak to an attorney or advocate. Again, you can fill it out, the principal's name here, special education coordinator, registrar, the person who's in charge of attendance, especially if there's an attendance health-related issue, or the school nurse if you happen to know their name or email address. Often, if you go into your front office or you call the front desk, you can obtain that information, or maybe someone else who's above them who can give you that information. And then you fill in all these beautiful parts here. There are things here like grades, standardized test scores, attendance records, nurse records. Like if you know your kid went to the nurse for multiple reasons and might have gotten a head injury, for example, if they attended some sort of summer program. This parent contact log I really love because it shows you the number of times the school has recorded that it reached out to you. And then you send this to the school. You make sure that you maintain a copy of it. You can do that by saving it as a PDF for your own records, putting it in your Google Drive, printing it out. So whatever education attorney or advocate you work with in the future, they are going to want to see these records. And even if you don't have them yet, that's totally fine, especially because you should eventually get them. And that's because the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act and also FERPA, I forget what FERPA stands for right now, but it's easily Googleable, requires that the school provides you the records you request in writing within 45 days of receipt of the written request. And I must stress the written request. If you ask on the phone, I love it. Follow up with an email. Dear so-and-so, thank you for speaking with me today at the front office. This is to record that I asked you for all my kids' records. Even if it's one sentence, I want all the records in my kid's file. I'm their parent. Look forward to receiving it. I like the list better because the school sometimes will say, well, we didn't know which records you wanted. And this is a good layout of almost all the records that we've ever experienced receiving from a school. I'm actually quickly going into the chat here to see if I missed anything. Oh, nope, Danny's putting in beautiful links and putting what FERPA stands for. Yay! Family Educational Rights and Privacy. It's also important to note that if your child's dealing with a conflict with a peer, they will not give you any personally identifiable information, or should not rather, of any other peer unless the parent or guardian of that other child gave express permission. They're only going to give you your child's records. I've also been seeing a trend recently that they may even redact the names of certain teachers, but if you're having a good relationship with the teachers, or at least at minimum, written communications, you'll know the names of the teachers one way or the other, especially at those parent-teacher conferences. Definitely go to those parent-teacher conferences. They're very valuable resources of information. All right. I'm just going to quickly go over what some of these other ones are. This is an example of one of AJE's Know Your Rights handouts. This is particularly relevant for navigating with complex medical needs because you need to know what the truancy laws are and how you can get your child's absences excused. I'm trying to see, is there a way to zoom, make this full size? Do you know? Oh, fit to page. Oh, nope, that didn't work. Do you know, Danny?
Think if you zoom out or you click Shift Control with a minus sign, it might also work.
Okay. I can zoom out, but then it makes it's small, but please pull it up on your own
Oh,
screens or
sorry,
after.
Garrett, go ahead and click on the link. It'll
What
make
link?
it one pager. The link on top of the 50%.
Oh, look at that. Can you all see the bigger version?
Yep,
Yeah.
we see it.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, so definitely look through this. If you have questions, feel free to contact AJE. These are the different reasons that your kid may be excused from school. It's really important to know that if you have too many Unexcused absences, that's a basis for truancy, and that could cause you and your child to have to go in court for a persons in need of supervision charge. We want to avoid that, especially if it's because of the manifestation of their disabilities or a symptom of a well-known medical diagnosis. And also, if there is going to be absences, I believe for more than 5 days, that should be in here somewhere, then you have to get a doctor's note. I know getting a doctor's note can be very difficult, especially without an appointment, but I do know that a lot of doctors now will have telehealth visits that you can access, or if you call their office and say, can I get an appointment as soon as possible? Figure out, is there some way you can get some sort of medical record? At minimum, you as the parent or caregiver can at least email the school on a daily basis. If you forget, send it as soon as you remember. It's better to have some sort of paper trail than no paper trail at all, especially for attendance, because it impacts, again, truancy and also their grades, and also their ability perhaps to create an attendance intervention plan or a way to help them obtain makeup services or reconsider which least restrictive environment may or may not be appropriate for your kid. All right, this one here is a template we created to help you memorialize your educational concerns. They got injured, a teacher disrespected them, they're being bullied, you need their attendance record revised. Fill in the blank based off of your child's situation, and this is a great way, if you don't know how to get started, to communicate that to the school. And if you don't know how to ask your medical provider for assistance, this template is great for that. You can explain to them why you want their medical input in writing or in person, preferably both. I know our doctors tend to be very, very busy. Oh, there we go. 5 or more consecutive days. I knew I put that in a resource somewhere. That is the rule. If they have that many absences, please get that doctor's note, like I said before, and give them as much advance notice as possible so maybe they can indeed attend that meeting. And if they can't attend that meeting, that release form will allow them to coordinate with the school team, not only to convey their opinion for that particular meeting, but also on a more ongoing basis. Because if they have, for example, a therapy strategy at home or in the community that's working really well, it might work in school too, and then they can collaborate and improve the efficacy of it. And I see I have 10 minutes and I want to get to our interactive component. Here are some examples of excuse letters. We have one for excused absences, and I also have one for 5 or more days in a row. And then there's the CYAK blog I mentioned. You can also find it on AJE's website. Once you get a copy of your child's records, this is a great resource on how to organize those records. And there's also a video from that same source about how to organize those records. So I am now going to temporarily stop share my screen and then reshare a hypothetical scenario that I created that we can go through together. I will read it and then we'll go through the questions. Sound good? Anyone who's off mic can give me verbal affirmation.
Yes, and we can see your screen.
Awesome. So Miss Faye Pearson is my favorite FAPE client, and that's because her name sounds really close to FAPE. FAPE, as hopefully many of you know, is the right to a free and appropriate public education, one of the main aspects we focus on in education advocacy. So Miss Faye Peterson's daughter, Ida Peterson, her name is also a pun. I'm a big pun fan because it's close to IDEA, the main federal law that explains to us what those special education rates are. So Ida Peterson is 12 years old and in the 6th grade. She was diagnosed with anxiety by a psychologist when she was 10 years old. Ida also has a weaker immune system, which means she easily gets sick in the wintertime or when people around her get sick. Based on these conditions, Ida has an IEP for emotional disability and other health impairment. For her anxiety, she has a number of somatic symptoms, such as gastrointestinal issues, including nausea and vomiting, headaches, feeling weak, etc. Her anxiety also impacts her ability to process and remember information. And if you don't know what somatic means, it refers to a physical manifestation, or an exhibition of a mental or emotional experience. So when she feels anxious, she feels that physicality in her body. Specifically, Ida is anxious about social interactions with peers due to unaddressed bullying she experienced in elementary school and fear of having her symptoms occur during the school day, and performing poorly on her schoolwork because she cannot focus. She cannot focus because she is zoned in on her anxious feelings and somatic symptoms, or the symptoms of feeling sick due to her weaker immune system. As a result of these manifestations, Ida misses a lot of school days. Miss Peterson knows Ida will likely continue to miss school with without additional ideas and supports. She does not want Ida to be truant, but does not want to force her daughter to go to school when she is not feeling well. In no particular order, Miss Peterson's advocacy goals are to help her daughter, one, attend school on a consistent basis while also ensuring she is healthy. Two, have an accurate attendance record. Three, feel supported in school. Four, have appropriate supports when in school. So I'm turning it back to you all. What can Miss Peterson do to begin achieving these goals? And which AJE template or templates can she use to advocate for her daughter? And if you want some extra credit points, what kind of template could you create if you think one that you have not seen yet would be more applicable? And you can think about it. We have a little bit of time, like 30 to 60 seconds where you can think about it before I jump into the third template where we get to practice.
Good evening. This is Renee. Excuse me for attending late. However, I also have anxiety and really did miss the start. However, I just want to commend you. This is a great resource, and I think the activity is fabulous. But because I have low vision, I can't see.
Mm,
I can't see very well on a Can I, if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna have to log off and log back in with another device that will allow me to zoom in so I can participate. But again, thank you. This is amazing, and I can't wait to use the replay as well. But
thank you,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you guys.
And if you all can't see my shared screen, I also encourage you to go directly to your live binder. It's okay if you're not on the immediate Zoom screen as long as you can hear me.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Danny, if I go back into back into the Zoom, actually, it won't let me go back into the Zoom. Never mind.
Sorry, Dara, what are you trying to do? Zoom
I
in?
was gonna say, no. I was gonna say, if you see anybody put feedback in the chat, please let me know because I can't see the chat right now.
Okay, will do.
So does anybody have any ideas for what can Miss Peterson do to begin achieving any of the goals? You can pick one.
With sight unseen, one thing that I wanted to say that helped me with my 22-year-old, but struggled with this issue for a long time in high school, was to ask to have a scripted start to the day for what's, i.e., having a staff person identified that can greet my young person as soon as they exit the bus. And another thing that we did was to do they did it as a behavior intervention plan or a BIP for the behaviors that relate to that anxious moment of exiting the bus and coming into the school. And then lastly, the other third document that I created for them was an agreement to allow my young person permission to use iPad and or iPhone, and to not have to relinquish it at the start of the day, because that caused a lot of drama. Trying, the act of getting off the school bus, getting into the school, having to queue up to relinquish the electronics, it really caused a lot of heartache. So I had to ask them to consider that they not enforce their zero technology policy, and to allow my person to keep their tech with them lo- longer within the flow of the morning. And that helped to keep that person regulated and in school and in the seat. But again, I'm going to hold for, I can't read it, but I'm going to hold for my response. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Renee. And I'm wondering, were you able to get those supports because of like email communication or communication from a school meeting?
I had it was so awful. You know, my young person, because my person had a private school placement due to
Oh.
fate in a private school that was out of state. So because they were in the state of Maryland where seclusion and restraints are allowed, that's how bad it was. You know, they routinely had to seclude and restrain in the morning, i.e., get off the bus, argument, seclude, restrain, an entire day, academic day lost, and my young person never really truly recovered from that. To be honest, even now that school is out, I still deal with that issue with that young person. So yeah, it's it was because of calling and then getting email using the letter of medical necessity from HSC
Mm.
because we have HSCSN, and I've always stated in written when I talk to people in written form, I always put that it's a medically based, it's the medical basis of the diagnosis that needs to be addressed, not the social determinants of the diagnosis, i.e., oh, it's a African American female, they are just bad, or they're just loud, or they're just
Mm.
unregulated. You hear me now, right? Like a lot of times,
Absolutely.
because when I try, one of the downsides of trying to put it in written language for me, communicating across state lines on a cell phone, and that was that I felt like I was more effective when I used my own natural ebonics without screaming and cursing at people, but basically putting it in real plain language. Okay, don't do this to my kid because it is discriminatory. To zero focus in on the behavior of the only African American girl child, young person in that group, and I felt that the staff was zeroing in on their behavior because it was not a typical behavior for, it was a gendered response, put you that way. You know, they only picked on the black kid, the black girl kid, I think.
Mm.
Okay, but anyway, I'm gonna pause for now. But yeah, there's pros and I for me, my thing is that if I could tell you if I can tell you what I need to tell you without writing it down, I'm probably not gonna sever the relationship. But if I gotta pull out some piece of paper and write it down and type it out and email, it's probably really bad. I think
Mm.
yeah, because if I culturally speaking, for me, I'm from a consultancy perspective. If I gotta put it in writing, then the meter is ticking, and I want financial compensation for the time lost, that the time that I have to spend for doing a letter, and the time that I'm gonna reflect was lost in my kids' education.
Yeah, well,
Okay, but anyway,
unfortunately, in education law, we can't get monetary compensation. But what I will encourage,
ah,
though, is written communication in good times and bad times is equally important. Because this way you can establish that expectation from the school in advance so that if bad times come, it doesn't come out of them out of nowhere and they're not immediately in the defensive position. And then also, I hear that you were able to do both, and both strategies were effective, especially when you pulled in that HSCSN medical partner component. So if you feel like you communicate better verbally, that's totally fine, but always follow it up with something in writing.
well,
And Dan,
let me clarify. What I mean by that is that I writing is really hard for me as an adult,
yeah.
meaning that I just had to um body double and work with other parents and basically bribe people to help me write stuff out. So yeah, it was but it took years. I mean, 22. My kiddo exited the system between 20 and 22, and so I'm not saying that I had these skills at first at all. But yeah, thank you.
It's definitely an art, and I love that you got other parents to help you. Having a parent community is very important. I know AJE offers wonderful parent cafes and parent support groups. Please connect with the meal afterwards if you're not a part of it. And also, AJE can help you with templates to get you started if you want to grow your confidence in writing that type of communication. And Danny, I hope I didn't steal Cece's time,
Thank
but
you.
I'm
No,
concluded.
actually, Cece had an emergency with her daughter, so I just wanted to
No.
flag, yeah, hopefully she can make it back soon. Okay, give me one second.
Okay. Well, unless anyone has, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. But
And then I
before
wanted
I,
to
I'm
flag.
back for a few. I don't. How
Oh,
much
sorry,
time
oh,
do I
Cece.
good.
have?
If you ever want to practice writing and you want to use my hypo, feel free to write your draft and you can send
Thank
it my way. And
you.
when I have time, I'll
Absolutely.
try to give you feedback. Here's my
Hey,
email.
oh, thank you, thank you. Absolutely. You're I've been inspired by you on several occasions over the years.
Oh, thank you. Just to
Thank
be
you,
clear, this is
guys.
for the hypothetical. I can't give legal advice unless
Absolutely.
it happens to be within HAE's capacity to have you assigned to me.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're welcome. Thank you all for listening.
Dara makes UDC proud. So my name is Chrysanthi Corniotis. Most people know me as Cece. Um, I I think I met Chioma through Dara actually, when we were starting the Parent Ambassador program, when she and her team were starting the program. And so I've been a part of this wonderful organization for a number of years now, a couple of years now. And my daughter is 5 years old, and I actually began um, fostering her at 6 months old, along with her birth mom. And I was blessed to be able to adopt her in November of 2023 after over 2 years of fostering Jennifer. And as I said at the beginning of the of this meeting, um, Jennifer came into my home with 5 weeks post-op from heart surgery on 6 different medications and with a very relatively rare genetic condition that we're still learning about, I think. And also being on the spectrum. And through our journey, and it's been a journey, I think initially I was focused on the physical challenges and making sure, um, that she continued to recover from her heart surgery, that, we're almost actually, I would say, graduated from cardiology at Children's. But at the same time, just managing the physical complications that she she has or had. And then as the months passed by, and she was assessed at the Can Do Clinic and so on and so forth. And the Can Do Clinic is the cardiology and neurodevelopment clinic at Children's. Um, very relatively early on, I would say around 11 months or so. Um, we were basically, or I was told that there was a good chance that she had, was either on the spectrum or had other neurodevelopment um, diagnoses that we would, that I would have to be proactive about. So, long story short, I feel as though we've been blessed because she was diagnosed at a relatively young age. I would say, like formally diagnosed at about 2.5, 3 years old or so. And she's been reassessed. Uh, all of her care is most of her care 99% of her care is through Children's. And so coordinating her care is a bit easier because all of her clinicians are co-located, so to speak. But at the same time, I understand the challenges that people face at points when they're fighting to even have their child assessed in a timely fashion and so on and so forth. But um, yes, Jennifer, see, that's my daughter. Daughter. I've really immersed myself in both HSCSN at Children's, and I've become much more of an advocate through AJE and all of the wonderful colleagues that I consider you all family and colleagues at this point, including especially Dara, because she came through um, recently with a camp, DPR camp situation. So in any case, I'm always happy to share or advise any way I can. My daughter has a little stomach thing going on, so my time is a little shorter today. But in any case, I'll share my email and reach out with any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Cece. Appreciate it. Okay, so now I want to pass it to Emil so that we can introduce our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you all both for the presentation, for sharing both the legal guidance and also the lived experience. And just the themes that we've heard in that presentation, documentation, collaboration, and persistence are foundational to building strong family action plans. And so, thank you for that takeaway. So going into our next presentation, and just to shout out, Chrysanthi is also one of our parent ambassadors, who's been with us for a year, and which is segueing into our next presenter, who is one of our newest parent ambassadors, Victoria Lynn, who brings nearly 2 decades of strategic communications and social impact leadership to a new mission, redefining motherhood as sustainable, not sacrificial. Now a certified postpartum doula, nutrition specialist, and maternal wellness advocate, she helps mothers navigate the gap between postpartum expectations and reality through hands-on care, education, and honest advocacy for what mothers actually need. She believes becoming a mother should be a sacred season of self-exploration, safety, ritual, and care, not isolation and depletion. Please help me in welcoming Victoria Lynn.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Okay,
Yes, we can hear you.
okay. You just sent me something, Danny, so it kind of threw me off for a second. Let me open back up my chat. Um, all right. So we're going to be switching gears from that great workshop and presentation we just heard. Before I jump in, I'd like to ask everyone a simple question. If you could drop your answer in the chat, how long does postpartum last? We could get some responses in the chat. All right, I see a few. If you need to come off mute and shout it out, go for it. Um, Pamela, the question was, how long does postpartum last? Give it a few more. I like Renee's answer. Feels like 10 years. Um, okay. I'm actually surprised. There we go, Bridget. That's what I was looking for. So most people will say, 6 weeks. We're taught it's 6 weeks. We're taught maybe the first 40 days are what's important. I think lately they've used the language of, it's the fourth trimester. So you can think of it as the first 3 months after giving birth. But it's forever. It is forever. It is not a short period. It is not something that you just arrive at. It is a process and it is a journey that will forever change you, right? Um, and so, if you're wondering, like, how does postpartum apply to me? My kid's a teenager or my kid is in elementary. You are still postpartum, technically, because your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit, none of that is returning to the you before having a child. And so if postpartum is forever, the framing that I lead with, then so is the work of caring for yourself while you're in it, right? And so um, that's where most of us get stuck, right? So we're going to be talking about family action planning and advocacy from this lens of caring for yourself during postpartum is an act of advocacy. So I'm sure that every parent and caregiver on this call, you think about how you want to take care of yourself, but you usually don't get a chance to actually execute that vision. And not because, you don't know what you need, but it's usually because something just gets in the way of you giving yourself that time. Right. So, from what I witness in my work, from my own lived experience, it's guilt, it's not having the time, not having the financial capacity, not having childcare, or not never seeing anyone take care of themselves, right? Like you didn't have a parent or a caregiver who also took care of themselves. So you don't even know what that looks like to give yourself that opportunity. So I'm going to walk through 5 ways to think about postpartum well-being. And as I go, I want you to notice which of these, you know, you keep bumping up against and which of these is like getting in your way, right? Um, so the first one I start with is physical, right? So your physical recovery, your physical health, right? So that is, are you taking care of your body physically? Are you seeing a doctor? Are you eating well? Are you resting? Are you managing your stress? Are you sleeping well? We know all of those things can lead to physical ailments that can then turn into chronic health issues that you have to deal with yourself on top of navigating care for your child. The second pillar is going to be your mental and emotional health. So a lot of what happens during postpartum is, hormonal changes, mood changes, your emotional health. A lot of women and parents struggle with identity after having children or becoming a caregiver. Oftentimes, so much of our identity becomes about being a caregiver. And so we kind of lose ourselves in this new role, and that has a tremendous impact on our overall well-being. Third one is going to be nourishment, and not just like, are you eating? Um, but are you eating well? Are you eating according to what your body needs? Um, are you helping your body be replenished um, after it's suffered through a lot of depletion, specifically for um, women and birthing people who may have had blood loss or may have had complications during pregnancy, right? Like if nourishment isn't a priority, that can again lead to chronic health issues down the line. In my health coaching, I see a lot of moms whose kids are now 7, 8, 9, 10, and she's just finding the time to pay attention to herself, but she's wondering why she's burnt out. She's wondering why she's still losing hair. She's wondering why she's up at 3 o'clock in the morning and can't sleep, right? So nourishment is a part of this that's also combined with your physical health. Other essential pillar of postpartum well-being is going to be connection. What does your community look like? They have taken away the village and sold us back the village. But do you have a village? Do you have support? Do you have a partner? Do you have family? Do you have community? Do you have friends? And because isolation is such a risk in this work. When we don't have the support, when we don't have the village, and we're carrying so much, um, again, can lead back to your own health issues. And so making sure that you have connection in your life is really important towards your well-being. And then the last one is practical support. as a new parent, as a caregiver, right? Like, do you have the financial stability? Can you manage all of the household labor? Is there childcare options available to you? We talk about all of these other elements, but then there's just like the practical things that still need to get done to live your life every day. So these are the five pillars of what I say that like postpartum well-being requires. But knowing what you need and actually getting it are very different, right? Which is why we have to talk about the difference between self-care and deep care. So do me a favor, when someone says self-care, what do you think? Throw an answer in the chat. Interested to see what you think self-care means. Anyone have thoughts on if someone were to say, "Hey, are you doing self-care?" What does that mean?
Okay, Brandon said spa. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so we have Brandon saying spa days and massages. Naisha said sleep. Cece mentioned something I don't have time for at the moment, but in all seriousness, getting a mani-pedi, cooking a delicious meal, taking a 20-minute walk daily. Pamela said water, sleep, community, and fun. And a meal drop, taking time to breathe, prioritizing health and well-being.
Nice.
Nathan dropped rest, meditate, massage, and good food.
Great. Love to see all of these. Love to see all of these. We're going to talk about self-care versus deep care, but I also want to make the distinction between what I consider self-maintenance versus self-care. So the massages, the mani-pedis, the spa days, I consider that maintenance, right? Self-care to me is rest, it's sleep, it's saying no without feeling guilty. Um, it's having the confidence to ask for help, ask for a break. Um, on the side of, you know, I say it's what you do for yourself in those little gaps that you have. Um, whereas deep care is the conditions that mean you don't have to fight for those little gaps, right? So when I think about deep care, it's do you have paid family leave? Do you have a flexible work schedule? Do you have a care team? Do you have do you have all of your doctors outlined? Do you have maybe an acupuncturist who can help you? Do you have a therapist who can help you, right? Um, what does your community look like? And then it's also the policy, right? The policy that is set up locally and federally, is there policy set up that can help you get what you need to be able to take care of yourself and your family, right? So I want you to think that like individual self-care cannot help you fix what is a systemic deficit, right? If you're always trying to catch up on sleep, if you're always trying to catch up on, having a lack of energy, like self-care cannot get you there alone. Self-care is about the individual, right? We need deep care. We need community care. We need policy that cares, right? And so we want to, I don't want you to think that, oh, I took a spa day, I should be better now, right? Oh, I took, one day to sleep in, I should be able to tackle this mountain ahead of me, right? Like those small gaps are not enough to change the trajectory of your well-being, right? Um, and so next I want to talk about what it looks like to find meaningful support. And I think that we have to distinguish between a lot of what I'm talking about. It's just like, what's this versus this? So, right, like distinguishing between like, what's available and then what's actually helpful and what's actually meaningful, right? So for instance, right, if you're newly postpartum, people love to come and hold the baby, or they might come and make you one meal or set up a meal train. Um, that's available support. But what does meaningful support look like for you, right? Is that someone who regularly checks in with you? Is that someone who regularly offers to assist you with childcare? Is that a career, a workplace that actually cares um, about how you are, and are they offering you the flexibility, right? So it's like, I want you to think about what your support looks like, and think about it in terms of like what's available to you, but what do you actually need in order to have that deep care? And so, oh, sorry, saw something in the chat. Oh, facts, no more bad jobs. Yes. Wishing we all could have flexible work arrangements. Danny said the best thing I have seen online is loved ones showing up at the house to collectively prep meals in advance for the birthing person. Yes, I love those. I think they call them like freezer parties or something like that. So those parties don't have to be just when you are freshly postpartum, right? Like, do you have a group of friends that you're like, hey, can y'all come help me meal prep for the next month and let's have a freezer party, right? Like that is meaningful care, right? Um, yes, congrats to Bupper, congrats. You don't have you don't have to think about these things that are usually only available in those first few weeks. So, where was I? Caring for yourself as an active advocacy. So when we think about family action planning, we usually don't think about including ourselves in that planning, right? We're thinking about all of the work and all of the care coordination and navigating all of the systems for our children, but we're never thinking about what we also need to be able to continue to do that work. So I want you to think about caring for yourself is also a part of your action planning. Caring for yourself is not separate from the advocacy work, right? So the next time you need to you need something, it's really helpful to be able to name it, right? Don't swallow it, don't put it on the back burner. Name what it is you need. Check in with yourself regularly around, what do I need today? What do I need physically, emotionally? Do I need to nourish myself, right? Asking for help instead of just pushing through. Asking for help, asking for a break instead of normalizing that, this is just what we do. This is just a part of caregiving. This is just a part of parenthood. You are allowed to ask for what you need, right? Pushing back on the system that dismisses you or invalidates your needs. All of that is part of your advocacy, right? And so I have three questions that I want you to think about adding to your family action plan. One would be naming one of your needs that no one is currently meeting. And so what's something that you feel like is a high priority right now that's not being met? Say it out loud to one person this week, not just to yourself. Like actually vocalizing, like, I could really use this. I swear if this child comes back one more time, y'all. Okay, what do you need?
I need a bite. Remember, like I can't bite.
So he has like 5 wiggly teeth that are about to come out. And
4.
okay, 4. And he's obsessed with apples, but he can't bite them right now. So I have been assigned his professional apple biter. Um, so the third question of adding to your family action plan is like writing yourself into this plan, given if you are writing this plan down, right? But like writing yourself into this plan as its own line item, right? Not as an afterthought to your children's needs, right? But making sure you are consistently and constantly thinking about your own well-being and what you need to be able to be the best advocate and the best parent and the best caregiver for your child. Um, so I rushed through that a little bit because my son threw me off. But, you know, your family action plan, your plan for well-being should grow with you no matter what stage of parenting you're in, no matter what stage of postpartum you're in. It's a plan that you should revisit and rewrite as your capacity changes, your needs change, as well as the family stage that you're in. And then Danny, I think we had a poll question.
Yes, give me 1 second. Thank you, Victoria. Let me see. Okay, yes, we do. All right. The second poll question that we have, I appreciate you. You did amazing. I know you had some interruptions, but you was bearing with us. Thank you. And you had so much great conversation in the chat, and this was really nice. Okay, so our second poll question, what is the biggest barrier to prioritizing your own well-being as a caregiver? We have lack of time, financial constraints, lack of childcare, limited support network, difficulty accessing services, feel guilty focusing on myself. And if you have something else that's different from these, feel free to type them in the chat. Oh, you getting some love from Yvette in the chat. And yes, congrats to Pepper on starting your new postpartum journey. Oh, has the baby arrived? Yes. Okay, we have about 9 people. Let's see if we can get a couple more responses. I'll give it 30 seconds. Oh, 7-Eleven. Congrats, Pepper. Okay, so I'll end the poem to share here. We have feeling guilty for focusing on myself. And then tied, we have lack of childcare and limited support network. So yeah, okay. We'll keep using this as we transition over to our next and final speaker. I'll pass it over to Emil to introduce them.
Thanks, Danny, for passing it over, and thank you, Victoria, for the presentation. And I'm excited, for the work that you're continuing to do, for postpartum, not only for mothers, but also, for fathers as well who are navigating that journey. So, thank you. So going on to our final presenter, Miss Naisha Banks, originally from Savannah, Georgia, but currently residing in the District of Columbia with her 4 children, is an education policy professional, graduate researcher at American University, and parent advocate whose work focuses on early identification, comprehensive evaluations, and improving educational outcomes for children and youth with disabilities. Her graduate consultancy, developed in partnership with Advocates for Justice in Education, examines how education, healthcare, and community systems can work together to improve access to evaluations and support families through earlier intervention and stronger systems coordination. Please join me in welcoming Naisha.
Thanks, Camille. Hi, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see your screen.
Okay. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Great. So, good evening, everyone. I'm going to begin the presentation with one question. Well, first, I'll introduce myself. I am Naisha Banks. I am currently a graduate student at American University, as Emil stated in my introduction, and I'm doing this consultancy project with AJE because I have been a parent ambassador with AJE. I started about 2 years ago before the current team, and I've been enjoying the work that AJE does. And so when the consultancy project came about, I asked my professor about doing this independently. And I'm just really excited about what I've been doing so far. So I'll start my presentation off with the question of what happens before the crisis. Basically, because before a student is failing or shutting down or being disciplined, whether they're refusing school or even if the family reaches to the point of saying, like, I don't know what else to do, there's always signs before it gets to that point. Someone may notice that reading is harder for them than it should be, or even a young person might say they're trying, but something is still not clicking. So a parent will see it on one way, like they're just taking forever to do their homework. The teacher notices that pattern, healthcare provider hear different things. And my research has been around the question of like, what becomes possible when we respond to these signals earlier, using curiosity instead of just assumptions. And when concerns lead to the right evaluation and the meaningful support. So for the next 28 minutes or so, I just want to walk us through thinking about early identification and not simply just a special education procedure, but using it as a method of prevention. And so I'll explain why I came to that question. Let me just give you a brief intro of how I came to this work. So there are two perspectives I'm using as a graduate researcher, but also as a parent and also as an advocate. So as a researcher, I'm examining what evaluation policies like that should happen and then comparing that with the implementation and how that looks in practice. But also as a parent, I personally know what it means to know that something isn't right, like, and I need to seek answers and sometimes just become that person that's carrying the information from one system to another because we're often having to navigate different systems. But as an advocate, I've seen how much families and young people know about what is happening long before like different formal systems start to understand it. So I began this consultancy focusing on restorative approaches to discipline with students with disabilities. And through this partnership with AJE, I kept things further upstream, and I appreciated it because I started asking what happened before the disciplinary referral and like before the repeated academic struggle of other students, like before behavior was interpreted as defiance. So my lived experience helped me recognize that question, and it doesn't substitute for evidence. Like the recommendations that I'm using and ultimately my policy briefs will be shaped by the research, policy analysis, the collaboration with AJE and community feedback like what you all shared tonight. So my workshop is critical to the outcome simply because I'm just going to use this feedback to inform recommendations in that policy brief. So I'm not going to be presenting to you heavy data. I'm really want to walk through all of this with you so that the information from you all can help me inform these recommendations. And so that's really how I got to this, where I am in this research now. And the shift from the restorative discipline to the evaluation led to the research question that's really at the center of my consultancy. And it's how can improving access to comprehensive evaluations function as a prevention strategy to improve educational outcomes and reduce disciplinary exclusion for children and youth with disabilities in DC. So during this time, 5 preliminary themes have been emerging. Families and youth often notice concerns early. Comprehensive evaluations can improve understanding and inform better support. Access is not equitable. Fragmented systems can delay support, and earlier action can create an opportunity to change a child's trajectory. I'm intentionally saying create an opportunity. I'm not arguing that evaluation automatically improves outcomes or even that evaluation delay causes. The Yes, like the prevention argument is this: when we understand a child's needs earlier, we have an earlier opportunity to intervene before academic difficulty, before they start to engage, before the behavior escalates, before they start avoiding school, or even the youth experiencing that disciplinary exclusion, because it gets to a point where once they've done all of that, then the system finally responds. So tonight is also a part of the consultancy process that I'm doing, and your feedback will either validate what I'm finding, it'll challenge it, or even identify something that the literature and public data doesn't actually show me. So before I show you a little of what this research says, I do want to locate the experience in this room. So I'm going to ask you to, like, one person, if one person can come off mute or people can post it in the chat, that'll be very helpful. But where does most often lose time? So, like, before we examine what causes the delays, like, I'm just wondering from you, where do you think the system most often loses time? Is it recognizing the concern? Is it getting someone to take it seriously? Is it obtaining an evaluation, getting the right evaluation, turning findings into services and support? Or is it coordinating across systems? Because there is no single right answer. So yeah, I'll invite someone to come off mute or type your response. I'm just listening for where you feel the delay is experienced across the pathway, because delay can for different.
I would say, I want to say multiple, but I think recognizing the concern and getting someone to take it seriously, for me, that's what I would say.
Anyone else?
So, in my district, we recently had someone retire who was a procedural support person, right? And this is not like a staff position. This is like a head position, and she quote unquote retired. But if you guys ever pay attention to like sports and stuff, what she did was she actually moved from one district to another district and didn't retire, but she had to vacate the position. And so, um, when you're working with like people going from system to system, sometimes they'll have to announce their retirement from one in order to be um, in order to take that position at another. And I I just noticed this just looking at like LinkedIn, but then thinking about like the Lakers and the Clippers and how people will go from well-resourced places to places that are not as well-resourced, and um, basically on on a on a line that doesn't really impact their bottom line so much, even though you might have people on the opposite end who are like your building personnel that have to do that same thing, but at for much less. because it's like a sliding scale, right? And so people who are like specialists, they can move really without penalty, whereas people who um, are like custodial staff, they have to they might have to move and um, and really work with the parents and those kinds of things and you guys to really try and figure things out because they don't have those same resources.
Thanks for sharing, Brandon. So just so that I make sure that I'm understanding you correctly, is it your opinion that it's coordinating of these systems?
Well, right, and um, it's just people who are at the top. So say they work for a school system, but one is at the top and one is moving and vacating that spot, but they have to retire in order from the one system to move over to the other system, right? And it's it's basically like a trade in sports, but you know you're not going down a peg. You're not even going all the way down. You're going you're going side to side. So you're not really losing anything.
So thank you for sharing that. So now we're gonna like locate where the delay is. I'm going to launch a very poll. So please answer only if these questions apply to you and only basically to the extent that you're comfortable. Thank you, Danny. Um, it is anonymous, so I want to remind you of that. And also, I just want to flag that this isn't representative data about all DC families. Again, I'm just using it as community context to help AJE and myself understand how the research is comparing with experiences in this room. So your answer is okay. So a lot of people before three. Can you go to the second one? Or the second is up? I see it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. You just have to scroll down to the second one. We see right now about 3 responses. If we
Mhm.
can get some more people, please go ahead and drop your answer in the Zoom poll.
Okay. So thank you for your responses. I'm seeing before age 3, and you felt the evaluation happened when it was needed. Well, that's good. So I'm going to hold on to what you're showing, and I'm going to move on.
Naisha, sorry. Our interpreters are trying to catch your audio. If you could just speak closer to the mic or a little louder, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Is this better? Sorry, I'm not loud.
I'm waiting to check. Maybe if you just keep going and then if they let me know. Okay, great. It's working. Hmm?
Okay. All right. Okay, so one reason that this process becomes confusion is because we use the word evaluation to describe different things. Oh, sorry about that. And a developmental screening or an evaluation may identify developmental risk, delay, strengths, or the need for early intervention. But a school-based evaluation asks like educational questions and informed decisions under IDA or Section 504. However, an evaluation that we don't talk about much has been like a clinical or neuropsychological evaluation, which can examine the cognitive function, learning, attention, executive functioning, behavior, emotional functioning, developmental history, and even medical factors. So when we use the word evaluations, I just want to make sure that we're clarifying that there are different types of evaluations because the different pathways can inform one another, but they're not interchangeable. So a medical diagnosis doesn't automatically determine school eligibility, and at the same time, a school evaluation may not answer every clinical question. So the question shouldn't just be, was this child evaluated? We should also ask, like, what questions we're trying to answer, and was the evaluation comprehensive enough to answer all of them? I think that becomes especially important when a child's needs are complex or overlapping.
I'm so sorry. I just want to make one note. If we could try to hold questions so then Aisha could share her recommendations, and then we'll try to answer as many as we can since we know we're closer to 8. Thank you.
Yeah. And I will leave my contact at the end because I do want to be respectful of everyone's time and I'll have to hop too. But I would love to continue the conversation with whoever wants to. So I'll have my contact at the end and we can follow up afterwards. Yeah, so I'll move along. This is where like comprehensive evaluation, including the neuropsychological evaluation, when appropriate, can be very valuable. Family might know that a child is struggling, but the reason might not be obvious. Because you're looking at, is it reading, language, attention, working memory, processing speed, anxiety, executive functioning, similar to what Dara was talking about in the beginning. And that could even be more than one thing interacting at the same time. So a comprehensive neuropsychological evaluation can help integrate those different pieces. And it may help explain how a student learns, where their strengths are, what is interfering with progress, what kinds of support should be considered. And that can change the question adults ask. So instead of, why won't this student do the work? We can ask, what is making the work difficult and what support is needed? See how that reframing shifts things? So not every child needs a neuropsych, and I just want to make that clear because it will be especially useful when needs are complex and overlapping, or even if they're unexplained or unresolved by some prior assessment. But families shouldn't have to purchase a private neuropsych before a school responds to some suspected educational need. Schools have their own legal evaluation responsibilities. A private clinical evaluation can add important information, but it should not become a financial gatekeeper to the school's response. And so when we look at DC, we can see why access and timelines deserve attention because this is grounded in the most recent DC data that was available for the measure shown here. Nearly 1 in 5 DC students receive specialized education services. For the federal reporting period shown here, 2,511 of 3,426 initial evaluations were completed within the required time frame. That is only 73.29%. And if that doesn't seem bad to you, just look at it as another 915 evaluations were outside the required time frame. That's a lot. And the 2025 DC CAPE results, 11.9% of students with disabilities met or exceeded expectations in ELA, and 9.1% did so in math. For all students, those figures were 37.6% and 26.4%. In school year 24 to 25, students with disabilities represented less than 20% of enrollment, but nearly 30% of suspended students. And I do need to make one important research distinction here. These numbers show stakes and disparities, but they don't prove that delayed evaluation caused these academic or disciplinary outcomes. What they do tell us, though, is that we should take seriously those systems responsible for identifying the need. The same systems that should be connecting students to support and monitoring whether that support works. So then I guess the question is like, what gets in the way of families receiving those answers? And the research is pointing to several different categories of barriers. You got costs and insurance coverage. Medicaid is not paying for neuropsychological evaluation. Provider capacity and wait lists, eligibility and scope differences across different systems, and even coordination, as we were just talking about. So I want to test that against expertise in this room right now. Which barrier do you think most limits access? Is it cost, capacity, eligibility, or scope, or coordination? Can you launch that whole thing, Danny? And also in the chat, tell me what's missing from this map. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you're answering, I'm looking. I think what's important for my policy work is what we can't currently see in the DC data. Like, we don't have a clear public picture of who receives pediatric neuropsychological evaluation. Like, we don't have data of how long families are actually having to wait, what families are paying, and like how consistently recommendations are even being implemented. So you're putting something in the chat that's not captured here, that matters to me. And it also points to a gap that administrative data doesn't reveal. Trying to navigate between looking at my slide and reading the chat. So I just go back and forth, just reading the comments. Oh, should that be a factor? Okay. All right. I'm seeing here that coordination seems to be the biggest barrier for folks in the room, and then cost is second, then followed by eligibility and scope, and then capacity. Okay. I mean, and that's coming up in the themes that I've come across in my findings. So thank you for this. I do want to make the system gap concrete. So I have a student share with you. The student name is Jordan. So we're going to make this real to Jordan. Jordan up there. Now, Jordan is not a real student. Jordan is a fictitious student. But Jordan is 9. He's a bright, curious kid, but his reading takes much longer than expected. His homework ends in tears, and school avoidance is increasing. But Jordan says, I'm trying. I want everyone to know. So before we talk about what any adult should do, I want us to start with Jordan. What is Jordan telling us? And can someone come off mute just to say what you think Jordan is telling us?
He says he's trying, so he should be believed.
Absolutely. But look at what everyone else sees. See the family, they see exhaustion, they see headache, they see anxiety. A school says the work is incomplete, they see refusal. But then when you look at the healthcare perspective, they might hear about the sleep. They might hear that he's having stomach aches or in distress, but no single person has the whole picture. So what would we miss, or what might we miss, I should say, if we only look at Jordan's incomplete work? And notice that I'm not asking what diagnosis does Jordan have, because Jordan is fictional and we can't diagnose a child just from a few sentences. But a concern is not a diagnosis. A concern is information that can justify a closer look, which is what this is about. But let's see what happens when everyone recognizes the concern, but the system still doesn't connect. Jordan's family raises the concern. The school says, let's wait another grading period. Healthcare makes a referral, but the wait is 6 months. The family is carrying records between the systems. Meanwhile, Jordan still continues to struggle. So I just want everyone to answer this internally to yourself. Also, I am so sorry I forgot to drop something very important in the chat, and that is a workbook. Can you a workbook for me, Danny?
Yes, I
Not,
can
I
help
can
her
do
right
it
now.
really quickly. I should have dropped this initially, so that way you can follow along, and then there's more that you can do so on your own time, just because. Danny, appreciate that. Um, I just lost. Uh, all right. So, um, basically, if you're a family member or a young person, I'd like to know, what would you need from the system? If, if you work in a school, what can happen now? For those of you in healthcare, what can you document? What can you refer or follow up on? If you're looking at the situation with Jordan, and even if you're someone like myself who work in policy, or someone who works in advocacy or nonprofit, where do you see system responsibility in this? And you can put your responses in the chat. And also, as I'm thinking through this with you, what barrier can you address? Like, what can happen while Jordan waits? Who should own that handoff? How would you know the support is helping? So I'm going to pause here for a minute just to see what you all come up with. Immediate support to Jordan through a trusted adult at the school, meeting as a team to brainstorm solutions like creating or revising an education plan. All right. Right, so basically the key point is, early response doesn't mean Jordan must wait for a report before anyone helps. That's not what this is about. The school can review existing data. They can provide appropriate instruction and intervention. They can respond to an evaluation request. Healthcare can address health concerns, document functional impact, make referrals, follow up. The family and youth knowledge should inform the plan. And someone needs to own the handoff. That's the key piece. When the family is the only person connecting every system, That's not coordination. And that's the family compensating for this fragmented system. Even when the evaluation happens, our work is still not finished. And so this is the pathway that I want you to remember, because first someone notices a pattern, then an appropriate evaluation helps make strengths and needs clearer. That information should inform support, the instruction, services, accommodations, referrals, or what other interventions that they may need. Then we monitor it. See, is the support actually working? What's changing? What's not? What needs to be adjusted? And then, only then, can we talk about responsibly the outcomes. That's the only time that we can discuss outcomes. We have to go through the process, because that's why I say a comprehensive evaluation can become a turning point. It can improve educational outcomes when it's timely, sufficiently comprehensive, culturally and linguistically appropriate, and followed by action. Because the report itself is not the intervention. The report matters because of what families and schools, providers, and the systems do with that information. So while we work toward better systems, I also want families and youth to leave with something that they can use now. And if the concerns are being dismissed or conversations keep happening without movement, one practical step is to move from memory to documentation. So first, you name the patterns, the strengths, the specific concerns, setting, the frequency, the impact. You put the request in writing, you date it, you keep the request and the response. That's what you'll do second. And then third, you're going to ask about the scope, like what suspected areas will be assessed, by whom, and using what information. The fourth thing you'll do is track the handoff, because that's important. Like, who owns the next step? And when should you expect follow-up? And how will you know the loop has closed? Under IDEA, a parent may request an initial evaluation at any time. Schools use MTSS or RTI supports, but those processes cannot be used to delay or deny an evaluation when a disability is suspected. So there's more in your workbook than we're going to cover here on purpose, because I wanted you to leave with something you could use after this session. It includes some sample language, some questions, and resources you can return to when you need them. This is just general ed information and not legal advice at all. But I also don't want the message tonight to be that families just need to navigate better. Long-term solution can't depend on families becoming expert navigators. The sentence is central to my policy recommendations, because the emerging directions include making evaluation pathways easier to understand, strengthening school healthcare communication, addressing cost and provider barriers, improving child fine implementation and accountability, and building family and youth voice into system design. A warm handoff, a clear owner, and a closed loop should be features of the system, not favors families have to negotiate. So I want one final piece of policy input from you. If you could change one thing about the evaluation process in DC, what would it be? Put it in the chat. This is going to be very important for me to know. These responses will help me identify where the research and community are pointing in the same direction and where I may need to look more closely, because every person in this room has a different lever. So just share that in the chat, and then I just have 2 more slides to go through really quickly, because on families and youth bring knowledge, priorities, and their own lived experiences. Like 3 of us are parent ambassadors here today. Schools have responsibility for responding to suspected educational needs, evaluating appropriately, and supporting students while the process moves forward. Healthcare professionals can document functional impact, make referrals, and help ensure referrals do not simply disappear into a wait list. Because across these different systems, somebody must own the handoff and close the loop with appropriate consent. Policy professionals also can advocate and ask whether we're measuring the things that actually tell us about access and timelines and costs and wait lists and outcomes and implementations and inequities. And early identification should be shared responsibly. Families should not be the infrastructure holding disconnected systems together. So I want to close by moving from a system commitment to one that action each of us can take. So, and this is final, and this won't be a poll. I'm just going to leave this with you tonight. So you yourself and while you have the workbook, you can document it there. But I want you to make an internal commitment. Choose one action that you're prepared to take within the next 30 days. You could select any action on the screen. It may involve documenting a concern or barrier, supporting the evaluation, improving a referral or handoff, implementing recommendation, examining the system barrier, or connecting someone to resources and advocacy. But as you choose, I want you to return to the question we started off with, which was what happens before the crisis? And what I'm finding is that there are usually signs and concerns and questions and opportunities to act long before a child reaches a crisis point. And the problem is that our systems do not always respond to those signals in a coordinated way. And early identification is not about labeling children sooner, it's about understanding them sooner. And when understanding leads to the right support, implemented and monitored in the right way, we create an opportunity to change what happens next. And anyone who wants to follow up, I am leaving my email here, and I will also drop it in the chat for you all. And thank you for taking the time to share this presentation with me. And thank you to the Health Justice team for giving me the space and opportunity to share tonight.
Dear Lord in heaven, what is wrong with people? Dear Lord in heaven.
Uh, yes, please mute yourselves. I know there's a lot of exciting things happening in the world right now. Um, and thank you all for your brilliant presentations. I know we've gone over a bit. I'm not sure if we're gonna get to Q&As, in respect of everybody's time. But as we close, I just like to reflect on a few themes we've heard tonight. Um, Advocacy begins, and thank you so much, Naija, for putting your information in the chat. I hope the other presenters are able to as well, because I feel like we probably need to have follow-up sessions for each of these power topics. They're all just so rich. But here are just a few takeaways. Advocacy begins with information, but it grows through action. Whether your next step is requesting an evaluation, organizing your records, building your care team, strengthening your partnerships, planning in that postpartum phase, immediate post-birth phase, and throughout the lifetime of postpartum, as Victoria has helped us understand. Strengthen through partnerships with your child's school and healthcare providers. Every action that you take matters. Planning and preparation matters. Tonight, we encourage you to build or update your family action plan, organize important records and timelines, seek evaluations as early as concerns arise. Stay connected with advocacy organizations like Advocates for Justice in Education and fellow family leaders such as yourselves, as parent ambassadors and other, parent leaders in our community. Continue to build collective power. Because again, as Victoria noted, we can't really care for ourselves. We really have to have this collective mindset to continue to build to advance health justice, equitable healthcare access, and of course, disability justice. We also invite you to participate again with our Child Find storytelling campaign. Your expertise and your experiences are your expertise. As a data researcher myself, I believe that, our stories are as good as DNA. So when we tell them, we are sharing a piece of ourselves with whoever is receiving them, and we honor your stories with that in mind, and they can help improve policies, specifically DC's, transition to the early childhood transition stories are critical for a particular case that we've been following in DC called DL versus District of Columbia, which impacts that very special, under-recognized challenge when you go from early childhood services to regular childhood services from Part C to Part B, to raise awareness across the board of the entire lifespan, in fact, because again, this is a multi-gen approach that we've taken this entire camp. So every time we're talking about resources for our children, we know that that has a direct impact on caregivers, on us as caregivers, and we're all in different stages and ages of our lives when we're caregiving, and to ensure that future families that cross whatever barrier that we have crossed also have the ability to access these important information, receive support as early and as effectively as possible. So as we close out the 2026 Health Policy Camp, and on behalf of Advocates for Justice and Education, we want to, extend our deepest gratitude to everyone that has